Hey, it's Rob, and here's my review of RB Custom's Superpowers Booster Gold action figure. Uh, like many of you, I was a big fan of JLI. I've talked about that a lot in previous reviews, and for some of us, it was pretty sad news the last couple of weeks to hear that Keith Giffen, the plotter of JLI, had passed away. He'd given us such great characterizations of the team and made these characters that were fairly new to the DC Universe jump to life. But um, like many of you, I'd hoped for when I was young to get JLI action figures. I hoped the Superpowers line would continue, and I was really bummed when it didn't. So, as we've been able to get very high quality customs over the last couple of years, I was excited to see that RB Customs had come out with his version of Booster Gold. As many of you have seen my previous review of Blue Beetle, I was excited to pair him with Booster Gold. And there are a few things I'll point out about this, including some of the little cool details that little extras that Rowan Bella throws in with his customs occasionally. And again, you're not always going to get that, but occasionally get something really, really special and unique that you weren't hoping for. And I'll show you that today, but first I'll give you a quick sort of review of the figure. And the thing that really jumps out on this is the face sculpt. So look at that amazing face sculpt. You see the teeth are realized very well, the smile, perfect. There's even a bit of just flesh tone there that comes out on the lips, which is very nice. And some of the hardest work that Rowan does apparently is trying to get goggles in place. So kind of a similar struggle with Blue Beetle. There's some very, very difficult work that goes into that apparently, and he's done a really nice job of making those sit perfectly on his face. I believe he uses a Superman head and a Green Lantern body for this, and it sort of meshes perfectly. You'll see Booster's got his force field projectors and his wrist gauntlets in place, which have to be added separately. And the metallic paint on here just looks perfect. He really is sort of the gold, Booster Gold, and that blue metallic just seems to work for the figure. The other cool detail is you'll notice that he's got the Legion flight ring. And Legion flight ring, I know usually it's sort of yellow and black, and that might be a little bit more black than blue. I thought it was blue, but it might be a little bit more black. But it's such a cool way to take advantage of Hal Jordan's power ring, using that figure as a base. It's interesting because there's a couple of versions of Booster Gold. I guess I could have asked him to make the non-collared one that came out a little bit later. I probably like that costume a little bit more, but as I've gotten older, I just have to keep going back to my JLI roots when it was fun and interesting and different than what was happening at the time. And even though I loved kind of the grim and gritty approach, I just loved my monthly JLI comic more than anything else because it was just so fun and such a great way to learn about the personalities of the different characters. So one of the things that we had him do, we'll take a look. You can take a look at the side of this really quick. Again, love that blue metallic. Look at the back. All the great booster details are here. Again, look at that hair. Look how finely sculpted it is. I don't know if you can see it, but just little amazing details on the hair. And he's done such a nice job of using heat and other tools to reformat that. He does such a great job with heat. So speaking of that, we're just going to talk quickly about how he sort of pairs with his peers. So here's Blue Beetle, and this is the great Blue Beetle sculpt he did for me a few months ago. And you're going to notice Booster is a bit taller, and that is by design. So a lot of you know I'm pretty adamant about trying to follow the scaling correctly and looking closely at the Who's Who guide. So, Boodle, good job. Booster is supposed to be about 6'5", Beetle is about 6 feet tall. So there is supposed to be a bit of a discrepancy in height between the two characters, and we tried to really make that come to life. So using Superman as kind of the example, getting him to rise a hair above Superman, who's about 6'3", trying to convert that into centimeters and get him just a little bit taller so we get him up into that 6'5" range. That is one of the biggest changes to this. And that's one of the cool things Rowan can do, that if you're looking for some scale options, he can actually help scale up a figure a little bit based on the work that he does with heat and heating the legs and the lower legs to be able to scale the figure appropriately. So love the comparison there with Beetle. And again, the things that really make them jump out are just the perfect detail on the paint, and then the eye work is just so incredible with the goggles. I know we talked about the Beetle one being very intense, and Booster, cool as well, challenging as well for him to be able to do that, but fits perfectly on the figure. So you don't just get a figure with blank eyes and a molded head. You actually are able to see the detail in the eyes, and you see sort of that great love between these two characters come out in their face sculpt. So I'm really excited to get the Guy Gardner figure that he just released, and be able to add that to this collection in the near future, because it's sort of a perfect pairing of all their personalities. A couple of other cool things to show you. So we'll move Beetle here just for a second. You know, every so often you'll get some cool surprises from Roan Bella, RB Customs. And what was interesting was, I think I mentioned on the Batman, my Ultimate Batman figure that I had him create recently. There were things that I asked for, but one of the big surprises was the new drape for the cape that he had in place. And really creating that flowing Batman cape was just a real surprise to me, something I hadn't asked for. And the other thing that was sort of surprised that I didn't even ask for or mention, but got in the mail, was a Skeets figure. So really cool little version of Skeets he created here. And, you know, nice little paint job on this. I'm not sure exactly how he did it, but love that I'm able to pair Booster with Skeets. You know, doesn't really appear in the JLI comic at all with Skeets, but that was a big part of the comic. And so you get your own version of Skeets here, which is very cool. It's also a little hole in the bottom, which, you know, I could probably shave down or work on a Star Wars stand and put him up on a transparent stand right next to Booster. So that's probably one of the things I'll do very soon. And then one of the things that Roan has started doing is creating a certificate of authenticity, which is a really good idea. So these figures you can see here, this is an RB Customs Booster Gold. This is when it was created and has a detail. So RB35, maybe that's his 35th custom, is created from a customer. He's got his own signature on it. And this sort of certifies the artwork as one of a kind, original. All copyright and reproduction rights are reserved to the artist. So I know he showed actually 2 Booster Golds that were produced, but it's funny, if you look at both of them, you can see little differences. You know, one of the biggest ones in mine is the height difference, but there are other little things that jump out as well. So no 2 figures are exactly alike. That's a very cool way to sort of claim authenticity. So at any rate, I love this, and I love the sort of JLI collection that I'm able to build up. You know, I always say the nice thing about RB Customs is I've collected other things. I would give up parts of my collection to keep getting these figures because they're so unique and so cool. So if you're looking for some really cool, unique, one-of-a-kind piece to add to your collection, a must-have, definitely reach out to Roan via his RB Customs page on Facebook. And feel free to leave your comments below and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.